Picture this, mate, two people. Same age, same suburb, pretty similar income most of their life. One retires at 65 and a few years later they're sitting there checking supermarket specials every week, stressing about power bills and trying to stretch their super until the next payment hits. The other person, same age, same suburb, retired and booking a trip to Portugal next year without freaking out about the cost. Not because they were born rich. Not because they got lucky on crypto or some crazy investment. It came down to one decision they made differently about 20 years earlier. And honestly, this is the part nobody really talks about properly. The gap between those two retirements usually isn't talent, luck, or even income. Most of the time it comes down to one thing: how much income your retirement savings can actually generate every year once you stop working. That's the weird thing about retirement. Tiny decisions repeated for decades quietly turn into completely different lives later on, and most Australians genuinely have no idea what those numbers actually look like in real life. Not on some calculator, not in a super fund ad. I mean real Australian life, real bills, real groceries, real rent, real stress. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through three retirement income levels: $25,000, $50,000, and $100,000 a year, and just explain what life actually looks like at each one. What's comfortable, what's not, what catches people out, and roughly how much money you'd need invested to make those numbers work. And mate, I'm not here to scare you or sell you anything. Most retirement content in Australia is either painfully vague or so technical it feels like homework. So let's just talk about it properly like normal people. Alright, let's start at the bottom rung: $25,000 a year. Now, before you instantly think, that'll never be me, just hear me out for a second, because a lot of Australians retire on this kind of income or close to it, and most of them didn't plan for that outcome. At around $25,000 a year, you're basically living on the age pension or slightly above it. As of 2026, a single person on the full pension gets roughly around $30,000 with supplements included, and couples are somewhere in the mid-$40,000s combined. So this is very much pension territory. And look, it's not poverty, but it is a lifestyle where every financial decision matters. Retirement sounds relaxing until you realize it's basically decades of groceries, insurance, electricity bills, prescriptions, rego, and random things breaking at the worst possible time. At $25,000 a year, your weekly budget is roughly $480 if dollars you're renting. That's where things get rough fast. A modest rental in a regional area could easily eat up $300 a week by itself. Suddenly, most of your money is already gone before you've even bought food. Groceries might be another $100 or so if you're careful. Add utilities, petrol, phone bills, prescriptions, you're already right near the edge, and the thing that really hurts people at this level isn't actually the day-to-day spending. It's the surprise costs: hot water system dies, car needs repairs, dental work pops up, family emergency, interstate, there's no buffer. That's the part calculators never really show properly, the mental side of it. Financial stress hits differently when you're older. Knowing one bad month can throw everything off is exhausting. A lot of Australians aren't scared of retirement because they hate working. They're scared because they can already see the maths not working. Now, to be fair, if someone owns their home outright and has low expenses, this income can still provide a stable life, especially with pension discounts and healthcare support. But renters have a much harder road. And honestly, this is why owning a home matters so much in Australia. Once the mortgage or rent disappears, retirement gets dramatically easier. Now, using the common 4% rule as a rough guide, generating about $25,000 a year from investments would require around $625,000 invested. And the reality is, a lot of Australians approaching retirement don't even have that much in super yet. Now maybe you're listening to that thinking, alright, fair enough, but I'm aiming higher than that. Good, because the next level is where retirement finally starts feeling normal again. Let's talk about $50,000 a year. This is the point where retirement starts feeling less like survival mode and more like actual freedom. At $50,000 a year, you've got around $960 a week to work with. You can rent a decent place, run a car, eat properly, go out sometimes, maybe travel around Australia occasionally, and not feel like you're constantly calculating every purchase in your head. And if you own your home outright, honestly, $50,000 a year is a pretty comfortable retirement in most parts of Australia. You're not flying first class to Europe every 6 months, but you're also not stressing over grocery prices every week either. This is roughly the level the ASFA, the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia, considers a comfortable retirement for singles. But this level has its own trap. The trap here is lifestyle creep, because once people finally feel financially okay, they relax. Which sounds good until spending quietly starts increasing too. You help your kids financially, you renovate the kitchen, you take more holidays because, well, you finally have time. None of those decisions are stupid on their own. That's the thing with retirement. People rarely ruin it with one massive mistake. It's usually lots of reasonable decisions stacked together over time. And because the balance still looks healthy, people assume it'll last forever. To sustainably generate around $50,000 a year using that same rough 4% rule, you'd need about $1.25 million invested. And yeah, that sounds huge. But retirement can easily last 25 or 30 years now. That's a very long time for your money to keep working. The other thing people don't realize at this level is you start losing access to parts of the age pension because of the assets and income tests. So there's this awkward transition period where you're partly self-funded, partly supported, and a lot of retirees get caught off guard by how that actually works. Alright, mate, now let's jump to the top rung, the one most people secretly imagine when they think about financial freedom, $100,000 a year in retirement. At this level, money stops controlling most day-to-day decisions. You can live well pretty much anywhere in Australia, travel overseas regularly, maintain your health properly, help family members, and deal with unexpected costs without instantly panicking. Your weekly budget is roughly $1,900, and because super pension income from a taxed fund is generally tax-free after 60 in Australia, that money is effectively yours to spend. And honestly, that's more take-home income than a lot of working Australians have during their careers. Especially when there's no mortgage, no commuting, and usually no kids depending on you anymore. This is the retirement lifestyle super fund ads hinted all the time without actually saying the number out loud, not private jets or yachts, just freedom. Being able to say yes without checking your bank account first. You travel overseas every year or two. You don't stress about groceries. If the house needs repairs, you fix it. If a mate suggests a trip to New Zealand, you just go. But even this level has a trap. People at this income level often underestimate how long retirement lasts and how expensive aged care can become later on. Retire at 65, and there's a decent chance you'll spend 25 or even 30 years retired. And aged care in Australia can get seriously expensive, especially good facilities. Some require massive refundable accommodation deposits plus ongoing fees. So even wealthy retirees can run into trouble later if they assume the biggest expenses are already behind them. To generate around $100,000 a year sustainably, you're looking at roughly $2.5 million invested using that same 4% rule. That's obviously a big number. But for younger Australians watching this, compounding does a lot of heavy lifting over long periods of time. Starting earlier matters way more than most people realize. And honestly, mate, this is probably the biggest mindset shift I want people to take away from this whole conversation. Most people ask, how much money do I need for retirement? But that's actually the second question. The first question is, what kind of life do I want? Because once you answer that honestly, the savings target suddenly becomes real instead of some vague giant number floating around in the future. Nobody actually wants a super balance. They want the lifestyle the balance can provide. $25,000 a year is survivable, but difficult for most Australians, especially renters. $50,000 a year is comfortable for a lot of people, but it still requires planning and discipline. And $100,000 a year gives you real flexibility and security, but it doesn't happen accidentally. The biggest mistake people make isn't that they never save. It's that they never connect the savings to a real future version of themselves. They just contribute to super because they have to, glance at the balance once in a while, and then suddenly they're 58 trying to work out whether the number is enough. And the scary thing about retirement is you don't get immediate feedback. You can make bad decisions for 20 years before the consequences finally show up. So if this gave you a clearer picture of what these retirement numbers actually mean, share it with someone who probably needs to hear it too. Because most people in their 30s genuinely aren't thinking about this yet, and the difference between starting now versus starting at 55 is massive. That choice is still sitting there. And I want to know, which retirement rung are you aiming for? If you found this useful, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications.